For more on China-Africa investments, we welcome Sharon Freeman, President and CEO of the All-American Small Business Exporters Association. Welcome to the show and welcome to the program. A very interesting topic that doesn't get talked a lot about in general. So we're going to take this opportunity to really dive into it. Tell me what this really means for Africa first. How important is this relationship with China to Africa and African businesses?
It's very important to the African people. It's an additional source of investment. It's not their only investment, but it's a growing source and a very important one. And it has diversified areas of investment for them, and certainly the Chinese have focused particularly on building infrastructure, which was a big need in most African countries.
Before 2009, the United States was Africa's #1 trading partner.
Yes.
Since 2009, it is now China. How has the relationship changed, I suppose is the question, between 2009 and really after, between how they do business with the United States businesses and also how Africa does business with the Chinese companies?
I believe that the FOCAC, which is the Forum on China and Africa's relationship, that set the terms very favorably for what China wanted to do in specific African countries, and they have followed that very well. And that's in agreement with African leaders about which areas will be the focus of investment and how they will involve the African people as partners. So those relationships are negotiated. And it also involve the private sector too, so it's not just government to government. At the same time, with regard to the U.S. relationship with Africa, we also have our terms of engagement and our conditions, and I think generally Africans feel that the United States places more terms and conditions on their investment and aid than China.
Well, let's explore that a little bit, because when you invest in, let's say, a company, it is a two-way street. We give you money, we want something in return. Traditionally, it's been purely profit, but is there a difference between what U.S. companies want when they go into Africa in terms of the type of industries they invest in versus when China goes into Africa? Is there a specific type of industry that they're looking at?
Well, I think the overall goal of business is to make profit. So if you say, what are they looking for, they're that. But if you're asking me which areas they're investing in, well, then obviously, you know, there's the broader answer to that. But certainly the Chinese get blamed for, you know, focusing on minerals and oil and other assets. But of course, that is a target, but that is of mutual interest to the Africans and to the Chinese. So the terms and conditions of those investments have to be favorable, and that has to be agreed upon. So that's not a bad thing, and I don't think it's seen to be a bad thing by Africans. And so to the extent that U.S. firms are investing in Africa, they are also setting those terms and agreeing upon them as well with Africans.
Looking towards the future, today China is Africa's biggest trading partner. What does this look like 5 or 10 years down the road?
I think it looks very positive because, as a matter of fact, the Chinese people who are investing in Africa are also becoming Africans by nationality. And so there won't be...
They're learning the culture.
They're learning the culture, but also being naturalized as citizens as well. And so I think they're there for the long haul. And I think more and more private firms from China are also investing in Africa, and the government is also has a very major China-Africa investment fund, and they're backing some of the investment of both public companies and private companies too.
Culture is always an issue when you do business with different parts of the world.
Yes.
Even when the U.S. went into Africa, there was criticism that perhaps they could have done more in terms of the cultural relationship. As China has now entered Africa, obviously both sides are learning a lot about the different cultures, but from the African side, for the Africans, how do they view the Chinese?
You know, it's interesting.
Are they learning Chinese?
Oh, yes, and of course there are many Confucius institutes that are facilitating that learning, but a lot of people still have business cards that list the Chinese restaurant as around the corner from it as the address to where their place of business is. But I think the cultures are beginning to know each other, and it's a process.
Sharon, I want to thank you for your time.